And welcome back, and welcome to my temporary office, by the way. I want to give you guys an update regarding the latest housing market trends we're seeing right now. This is because Redfin just announced yesterday at the time of this video a new housing market update regarding home prices, housing inventory, home sales, and of course much more, including price reductions. I want to share that with you guys, but also have a big update regarding mortgage rates because those absolutely plummeted on Thursday. And Friday, of course, was a holiday. So I want to talk about the latest trends we're seeing right now and also regarding rates as well. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I have a lot to share. So take a look at this. November 10th was their announcement for the latest housing market update. Redfin posts a weekly housing market update. And they actually had a really good first sentence here. It says, inflation has begun to slow, which is already helping bring daily mortgage rates down. So if you guys aren't familiar, the CPI report, which is more or less the inflation report, was just released on, Wednesday last week. And they reported that inflation came in lower than expectations. And that caused the 10-year US Treasury note, or the yield on the 10-year, to decrease greatly, and therefore rates decrease greatly as well. Can't talk today. So here's what I mean. Here's the yield on the 10-year US Treasury note. It sunk by 33 basis points on Thursday. Friday was a holiday. And I think I misspoke. The CPI report was released on Thursday as well. And that caused the 10-year to decrease by 33 basis points down to 3.811%. And that caused rates, or mortgage rates, to decrease by 60 basis points. According to the Mortgage News Daily, average rates for a 30-year fix is at 6.62%. Really haven't seen rates below 7% for quite some time. So let's actually have a look at that. So this is average rates according to the Mortgage News Daily ever since June 1st. So on June 1st, rates were about 5.5%. And again, right now, that's 6.62%. The lowest rates we've really had ever since more or less here, September 21st of this year. And we haven't had rates actually below 7% since right here, which is October 5th this year. So rates on Thursday decreased big time from 7.22%. Now they're only 6.62%. It's important to note that even though rates decreased by 60 basis points in one single day, which is absolutely insane, still, when looking at rates compared to a year ago, they're up by 3.43 percentage points or 343 basis points. Also, according to Investopedia.com, for Thursday, rates were at 7.33%. In any case, let's go back to Redfin's report here and talk about what we're seeing regarding our housing market. But I think it's important to note that because rates increase so much on Thursday, it's going to be really interesting to see what they do for the rest of the year. And of course, that impacts our housing market. So home sale prices rose 3.2% on a year-over-year basis during the 4-week period ended November 6th. That's the most recent week they have to share. That's actually the smallest increase since July 2020. Also, the median home sold price has fallen 8.4% since reaching the all-time high in June. So home prices have decreased by 8.4% since June of this year. And speaking of home sold prices, the median sold price was $359,250, only up 3% on a year-over-year basis. Again, the slowest pace of home price growth since the beginning of this pandemic. Again, this is for the 4 weeks ended November 6th for 400 plus US metros that Redfin tracks. They also state here that home sold prices fell from 1 year ago in 6 major US metro areas. 1 week ago, this is actually 4 areas. So it increased by 2 cities here, which were Stockton, California, as well as Pittsburgh. But prices declined 6% on a year-over-year basis in San Francisco, 6% in Lake County, Illinois, 3% in Stockton, and less than 1% on a year-over-year basis in Oakland, San Jose, as well as Pittsburgh. And check this out because this is pretty crazy. They actually look at the metros that have at least 500 pending home sales during the period, which of course is the 4 weeks ended November 6th. So when looking at those, pending home sales fell the most on a year-over-year basis in Las Vegas, down by 55%. Miami down by 49%, Seattle 48%, Portland, Oregon down by 47%, Phoenix down by 46%, also 46% decrease in Riverside, California, and down by 45% in Atlanta, Georgia. Also, the median asking price of newly listed houses was $372,475. That's up 7% on a year-over-year basis, but down 7% from the all-time record high that we saw about $400,000 in May. So here's a chart showing the median sold price in the US according to Redfin. Again, the median sold price, $359,000, only up by 3% on a year-over-year basis. But going back last year, we were actually up by 13% year over year when the median sold price was $349,000. But back in 2019, look at this. Back in 2019 at this time, home prices were at $269,000, up by 4% on a year-over-year basis. Also, the peak was more or less right here when the median sold price was $392,000, again up by 13% compared to the same time period in 2021. And home prices have been more or less decreasing, but they really decreased greatly from July all the way until we hit more or less August. But as you can see right here, over the past several months, home prices have been declining, but not as greatly as we saw back in July through August of this year. Meanwhile, the monthly mortgage payment on the median asking price home was $2,542 per month at the current 7.08% rate. Of course, this may change if rates stay very low. I would say very low compared to the past couple of years because, of course, rates have been averaging about 3% and, of course, not 6.62%. But, of course, at 6.62%, this is at least a 30-day low. In any case, let's go back here. So it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to be impacting our housing market depending on what happens with the rates here. In any case, the average monthly mortgage payment increased by 50.7%, up from just under $1,700 per month from a year ago when rates were averaging at 2.98%. And here's a really good graphic showing the average monthly mortgage payments over the past couple of years. Red line right here is, of course, 2022. Here's 2021, and here's 2020 at the bottom here. What's just kind of stands out to me is that when you look at average rates or average monthly mortgage payments back in 2021 and 2020, there really wasn't a whole lot of movement from June until more or less November. But this year, absolutely totally different because rates have been increasing so much. We started the year at about 3.3%. Now, again, we're around 6.6%. And that's why this has been absolutely skyrocketing right here. We did see a decrease more or less in the middle of June until we hit August. That's because rates went from, I believe it was 6.3% down to about 5.05%. in August, and of course that caused average monthly mortgage payment or payments to decrease. But of course, ever since August 1st, rates have been more or less increasing. Okay, let me give you an update regarding pending home sales, new listings, as well as housing inventory or active listings. So pending home sales were down 34% on a year-over-year basis, the largest decline since at least January 2015 as far as Redfin's data goes. I've been reporting to you guys that pending home sales have been down the largest decline since around the onset of the pandemic. And this is actually the first time I've seen that the decrease down by 34% is at least going back to 2015. It has been about 2020 for quite some time. So this is actually the first week I've seen this where it's actually below 2020's levels, down by 34%, which makes sense given the fact that mortgage rates have been increasing so much. Therefore, it makes sense that we're seeing less contracts being signed between buyers and sellers. Also, new listings are down 17% from a year ago, and active listings, which of course is housing inventory, was up 10% from 1 year ago. So let's have a look at the data center to see these trends right now. So here's pending home sales. The black line is 2022, blue line right here is 2019, here's 2021. So again, pendings are down by 36.18%. below 2019's levels, and of course down from 2021 as well. And let's have a look at new listings. New listings are down by 17.5%. One thing I want to mention regarding this is kind of something that I noticed this morning is that for the past, the past couple of months, we're not seeing this huge decrease of new listings like we did more or less from June all the way until we hit more or less the middle of September. So during that time frame, as you can see right here, the trend line downward for new listings was decreasing greatly. We are still decreasing on a year-over-year basis, but it's not as great as it once was. So that's new listings. Let's have a look at active listings. So active listings are up by about 10% on a year-over-year basis, but far below 2019. So right now, according to Redfin, we have approximately 857,000 houses for sale. And back in 2021, we had about 780,000. Also back in 2019, there was approximately 1.2 million. One thing I want to note regarding this trend that Redfin's reporting is that this 10% increase on a year-over-year basis does not agree to Altos, Research.com, or Realtor.com. They're reporting year-over-year increases of inventory in the range of 35% to around 40%, so much higher than what Redfin's reporting right here. And I'm guessing the reason for this discrepancy or this difference is because of the sample sizes that each of these companies uses, but also the time periods as well. Because Redfin looks at a 4-week rolling average, whereas Realtor.com as well as Altos report weekly changes compared to 1 year ago. So they report weekly changes, and Redfin looks at over the past 4 weeks. Meanwhile, the month supply, according to Redfin, is at 3.3 months, the highest levels since June of 2020. And here's a chart showing the month supply over time, over the past couple of years. So again, 3.3 months right now. That's up by 1.2 months compared to 1 year ago, because back in 2021, there was around, about 2.5 months of supply. Now it's at 3.3 months, above levels we saw back in 2021 as well. Also, Redfin's reporting that approximately 34% of pending home sales went under contract within the first 2 weeks of being listed for sale. In other words, a house is selling very quickly, about 34% of the time, but this is slightly below levels in 2020 and of course 2021 as well. Also, approximately 22% of pending home sales went under contract within 1 week of the house being listed for sale. So houses selling very, very quickly. So 2 out of every 10 pending home sales sold very, very quickly. But of course, that means approximately 8 out of every 10 pending home sales sold slower than 1 week. Anyways, it depends on how you look at it. So again, right now the ratio is at 22%. The past couple of years, we've been at around a little bit less than 30%. Here's also the median days on the market. In other words, how fast houses are selling. So according to Redfin, that's approximately 35 days right now. So in other words, it's taken about 7.5 days longer to sell a house. So let's just call it 8 days longer to sell a house compared to the same time period in 2021. This is because back in 2021, it was taking approximately 27 days to sell a house. And during the same time period in 2019, it was taking approximately 48 days. And meanwhile, approximately 28% of houses were selling above the asking price during this time frame. Which is right here at 27.8%, which is below 2020 when the ratio was just over 30%, and far below 2021 when the ratio was over 40%. So approximately 28% of houses are selling over the seller's asking price. Keyword here, final list price, which again means that approximately 72% are selling at or below the seller's final asking price. And of course, this is much different compared to May of this year, when houses on average were selling for over the seller's asking price on average. And changing gears slightly, let me give you an update regarding price reductions at a national level according to Altos. So Altos right now is reporting that the share of price drops right now is approximately 43%. So approximately 4 of every 10 houses listed for sale have already had price reductions in the US. Compare this to 2021 at this time, it was about 29%, about 26% in 2020, and pre-COVID back in 2019, it was approximately 36%. So the share of price drops in the US right now at 43% is at least a 3-year high. Here's also the average sale to list price ratio for all these metros that Redfin tracks. So right now, the ratio is approximately 99%, meaning houses are selling on average for about 1% below the seller's asking price. Compared to 2021, on average, houses were selling for the asking price. But right now at 99%, let's just call it 98.7%, this is much lower compared to the spring months of this year, when on average, houses were selling about 3% over the seller's asking price. And again, right now they're selling about 1% below. And also Redfin's Home Buyer Demand Index, which of course is an index based on the amount of requests for home tours and other home buying services by Redfin agents, decreased by 34% on a year-over-year basis. Their index right now is tanking big time and has been tanking really ever since April of this year. So right now the index is down by 34% compared to the same time period in 2021, but also below 2020's levels as well. And with that said, said, please comment below with your biggest takeaways from today's video. Also, if you guys got any value this video whatsoever, then please hit the like button. I really appreciate that. Hope you guys have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.